Hi, and welcome back to my second video. I have to apologize for the camera being a little bit shaky. It was one of the first videos I recorded and I forgot to turn off the autofocus while filming in the beginning. It will get better in the second half, I promise. So here I am inking my very fine pencil sketch. I try to have the pencil drawing as lightly drawn as possible so that I later don't even need to erase them. Of course that's something you can do, but I always try to avoid it because rubbing over the ink, it doesn't always end well, especially if you don't have high quality paper. I'm using black ink liners with different size tips, which makes it much easier for me already to create more dynamic lines. Changing the line width plays a huge part in creating depth. For example, if you take a look at the spiky cuff on his arm, you will see that the lines are much thicker than the lines from the shoulders. That is because his arm is closer to the viewer, and objects that are closer to us, our brain perceives as much bigger. So, thicker lines it is. In this drawing, I did the background first. I sometimes like to switch up whether I do the background or the actual figure first, depending on what kind of image I'm dealing with. In this case, it was easier for me to do the flames first, because they kind of make the whole image special. I'm layering the shades from a medium grey to a darker grey again. Here I'm actually just using 2 shades of grey. In case you want to know, it's C5 and C7. What's important is that I leave a little bit of white between the flame and where the glow effect is supposed to get darker. It's important to do it that way because the white bits will make the flame grow very bright. And that's exactly what we want for representing fire. At last, I'm adding some solid black, which already gives me some nice contrast, and it will just make the whole image pop later on. Now I'm starting to lay down my basic shadows. I'm doing this quite carefully because I have quite a bit of things going on in the image, and I do want to balance the shades so that the shading is still quite realistic and the whole piece doesn't turn into a uniform piece of grey. You know, when you don't have enough contrast and things just start becoming pretty, let's call it muddy, that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. By building it up slowly, I'm able to create depth much better, and if I make a mistake, I can still correct it. If I jumped right in with the dark shades, chances that I can correct my mistakes are much lower, and especially after already having spent 4 hours or more on a piece, that would be a bit frustrating. Moving on to the skull, again I'm carefully building my drawing up. Especially when drawing organic materials, such as skulls, bodies, faces, etc., I recommend using a reference. I used several pictures of skulls first of all for making the sketch and the line art, and for the shading again I'm using several photos of skulls and heads to see how the light might affect which part. Because I also have the flames around his head, I also have to keep in mind that they will cast some sort of highlight and different kind of shadows in other parts of the skull too. It sounds complicated, but it really is just a matter of practice and most of all observation. It's a great tip that an artist gave me when I was just starting out. Observe a lot. You can learn so much from simply really looking at things. It's insane. I'm adding some very light shadows to the flames too, just to give them a more dynamic look. Even though fire is a source of light, it still has shadows, and you will see that by adding those shadows it will look much more real and well, fiery. With a white gel pen I'm adding some sparks. That way the flames look more wild and fierce, so pretty perfect for this spooky boy. I love using white highlights in general in my drawings because they really add that little extra something to the artwork. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I invite you to stick around and subscribe. Have a great day and stay healthy.